Hello and welcome to this edition of FiTV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are coming to you from the first day of the 2021 Florida legislative session. I am joined by Brian Burgess, President and CEO of The Capitolist, an amazing insider newsletter that everybody tunes into and websites that break amazing stories. Brian, welcome to the show.
It's always great to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's always fun to have you on. I can't wait to see where the hilarity will ensue in this interview. All right, so...
I'm a little more reserved than I have been in the past. I'm going to be toning it down a little bit.
I feel like your tranquilizers are finally kicking in.
Well, we're making a shift in our coverage. You know, we've used to do some satire and things like that, so we've toned it down a little bit. We are focused more on business, policy, politics than sort of just the mocking and mockery, which was always fun.
It must be difficult for you to dial that back.
We're getting it is, and I still think there's a market for it. But we are trying to sort of really zero in on some of these weighty issues.
You guys
are serious.
You guys have been covering some stuff amazingly. Okay, so let's jump in. COVID-19, clearly the biggest issue. What is the Capitolist looking for in that issue?
Healthcare is the battle. I mean, none of these things are secrets, right? But the hospitals, we think, obviously, are going to get a carve out from some COVID liability protections.
Sure.
The real battle, and everybody knows this too, is nursing homes and long-term care facilities, and it's like it's basically these nursing home operators are in a sea of potential liability, surrounded by sharks that are trial lawyers, and the question is, will the lawmakers pull them into the boat with them or not? Or will they maybe leave their feet and toes dangling in the water or what? And I think there's probably some room for that, right? I mean, there are some operators, as our friend John Morgan would tell us, that some of these nursing home operators are egregious operators, some of them. And I would say the vast majority are not, but the real question is, will there be some liability left on the table for these folks to go after the more egregious operators of nursing homes when it comes to COVID-19? And I think they'll find a pretty decent balance in there, but we'll see, and we're eager to cover that.
I mean, look, it's kind of one of those old adages of if they're breaking the law, you know, the powers that be should be able to go, you know, capture those. But the vast majority of that industry, you know, did an amazing job. If we think back to the hurricanes, it was one retirement home that had problems. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a balancing act, and they'll find a way to leave open the possibility that bad actors are gonna get what they deserve, and the other operators are going to be protected. So
well, and like every other business in Florida that everybody's talking about, you need to protect the good actors, and you know, make sure bad actors can still, you know.
We don't want to be swamped in a sea of frivolous lawsuits, but we want the legitimate ones to go forward.
Of course. Now we've seen you weigh in a little bit on privacy. Talk to us on where the Capitolist is looking at the privacy bill.
Well, yeah, I mean, we started off as a center-right blog more than anything else 5 years ago. We're coming up on our 5-year anniversary, and a huge part of our growth has been Facebook and social media. That's where a monstrous part of our audience comes from. And so to see some of these issues that are going on with social media companies, sort of deplatforming people. We've been very careful to not say anything too foolish that would get us deplatformed, but some of the things do concern me as a publisher. And so I do think that there are legitimate issues that need to be tackled, but as a conservative, a small government, limited government conservative, I'm always wary when I see government offering a government solution to a right we should have anyway. And so, you know, some of these solutions that are being discussed right now, but between the governor and the Senate President and the House Speaker, on the one hand, they play well on the center-right side that I'm comfortable with, but at the same time, they are thorny issues. There are potentially problematic, lawsuits and legal battles are going to ensue no matter what they end up passing, and I'm a little bit wary, is all I'll say. I'm glad they're championing issues, and on the data privacy side, look, consumers should be in charge of their data, but we're going to cover this and cover it aggressively throughout the session.
Well, it should be interesting. All right, so the next issue is gaming and gambling. It's always one that you're interested in and have fun takes on. So what's going on there?
It's as a friend of ours says, it's like, will Lucy pull the football from Charlie Brown once again when it comes to gaming? I think if there's a year where something's going to happen, and the real question here in my mind, and I think it's no secret anymore, there are negotiations going on. I think where we've confirmed through sources that the governor and Senate President, House Speaker, they're in intense negotiations with the Seminole Tribe on a gaming compact. That's not a secret. The question is, will it be palatable? What will it entail? And can they get it ratified? And the big issue within that negotiation is sports gaming, and people like to do different sports betting and things like that. How much of that will the tribe have a piece of? What are the other players involved? And so that really does boil down to, is it something that can pass muster once this deal sees the light of day, whenever it finally does? And I think there's something that works, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a challenge because, the tribe sits kind of on the top of that conversation where they don't have a mandatory responsibility to give the state a penny.
Sovereign nation.
They do it, and those are revenues that they could stop if the state decided to change that formula. So it really is one of these, key revenue items that, they can choose to act as a good player, but it's how do you balance that with the pari-mutuels and all the other smaller gaming industries while not superseding Florida's, tourism family-friendly brand,
right,
which is an old argument that the No Casinos and the Florida Chamber of Commerce makes over the years. And so it's always that conversation of, how big is too big? How many games are too many games? So,
how big of a deficit is COVID going to create in our budget? We think we know the answer to that. We've got some projections, but is that enough pressure to push this one finally over the top, or are they going to actually pull the football and let the game?
It's complex. Well, I know our viewers and your readers will continue to tune into The Capitolist to see what's happening next. And as a personal consumer, I would encourage you to just do one or two pieces of satire, maybe you just send them to me privately and say I would love to post this. But
I do enjoy doing it very much, but we're going to stay focused and be aggressive about covering business, policy, and politics as it happens here.
Well, we look forward to reading more out of your publication.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, appreciate it. That's all the time we've got for this interview. For more great interviews like this one, make sure you hit us up on our social media feeds. And for now, thanks for tuning in.